Hello and welcome to John's Author Diary for the week ending August the 4th, 2019. It's been a bit of a slow week in terms of actual work. I've been in holiday mode, so I've essentially been doing dad stuff. So I went to Blackpool the other day, that was fun. My mum has come to visit, so she's here this weekend. And then next week we've got two lots of friends arriving at different days, so it's been difficult to keep any routine or anything like that. So the only things I've managed to keep doing consistently is the meditation and exercise. The 5 a.m. ups have gone a bit by the wayside. So I've got back to that this morning. I woke up at 5 and now my mum is in my writing room, so I didn't actually get to do any writing. But what I've been doing is I've been reading a book by Andy Pelequin called Dark Blade Assassin. I'm planning on doing I suppose you call it like a flagship series. So I want to do a series that is at least 5 books. So epic kind of dark fantasy stuff. So I wanted to keep the fantasy thing going. And so what I'm going to do over the next few months is I'm going to read a bunch of fantasy assassin novels. What I want to do is deconstruct them. I want to unpick them. I want to work out how they're structured, what they do, how they work. And I've got ideas for what this series is going to look like. I've got ideas for the world. I think that it's going to be basically a spin-off of the series that I'm on at the minute. So it'll be a spin-off of the Ravenglass Chronicles. It'll be set in that universe. It will have the same magic system. It'll be set in a different location. So I'll refer to different locations throughout the Ravenglass Chronicles. These are places where I would like to tell stories. There's also a big element of this story that will come later in the Ravenglass Chronicles, so I don't really want to spoil that. But this is something that comes in to the last probably 5 or 6 episodes of the Ravenglass Chronicles. So speaking of the Ravenglass Chronicles, I launched Wheel of Fortune this week. So that's episode 10. I'm currently working on a second draft of Justice. So as I say, the writing has been going slowly, so I'm 2 chapters into that. So I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do any serious work on Justice until probably the latter half of the month. But that's fine, you know, I need a holiday, I need breaks. Can't beat myself up about these things. As well as that, I've been posting on Patreon. So I mentioned last week that I was going to start doing more stuff with the Patreon. I've posted the first 4 chapters of the new version of Wizard of the Wasteland. So the first chapter is available for free, so anyone can read it. And then it's just $1 a month to keep up with the chapters. I started off with 4, and then every week I'm going to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and there'll be new chapters of something coming out. Now, I've not seen any new subscribers yet from doing this, but I hope that if I keep plugging away at it, keep doing it, keep spreading the word, then that'll hopefully help. I think it might be one of those things where if I don't get any momentum by Christmas, then I will definitely be knocking it on the head. So it's an experiment. I've already been doing it since January, and figure one last big push, then I can see how it goes. One thing that I might do as well as the Wasteland stuff is start posting the Black Death stuff, so people will be able to get a preview of the scenes that I've written before it hits the market. Now, I've been speaking with my collaborator Lynn about what we're going to do with this series, and I think based on his schedule and all these other moving parts that are going on, it's looking like it's either going to be November or February. I think it is. If we can get it November, that's perfect. If not, then we are not going to try and do anything over the Christmas period and instead come back in February with a big launch. So yeah, my head has been all over the place a bit this week, and I think that is just because I've been out of the writing. And so I just need to keep reminding myself, don't make any decisions based on where my head is at the moment. So, for example, I've had the great idea of switching my primary genre to space fantasy, space opera kind of stuff. And part of my thinking behind this is basically when you write fantasy, there's an expectation of at least 100,000 words for a novel. Now, if I write space opera, space fantasy, that kind of thing, I can do shorter novels, say 50, 60,000 words. And so it's basically I can produce a story in half the time. Now, my head is full of stories. I've got more stories than I'll probably be able to do with in a lifetime. And so there is part of me thinking, why don't I just write a big, epic space opera series, perhaps a whole bunch of trilogies set in the same universe. And this is a really difficult thing to do, difficult thing to think about, because I would probably enjoy that, but I don't know whether that's training me to think in a very non-linear way. You know, I want readers to know what to expect when they buy one of my books. And at the moment, the only thing that is really linking my series is the idea that I build characters that create deep emotional connections. So I'm really interested in creating deep characters that you spend a lot of time with. You know, that's in my Wasteland series, that's in my Gambit series, that's in my Ravenglass Chronicles. But of course, not everyone who reads fantasy reads post-apoc and vice versa. And so if I'm adding another genre, even though for me, I think of sci-fi and fantasy as being pretty much the same thing, I know that when it comes to subgenres, there will be people who are really into space opera but won't read military sci-fi. And so there's that crossover issue that I'm going to have, and I'll essentially be building a new audience and all this stuff, and therein lies the frustration, I think. And of course there's the flip argument of I need to love what I'm doing, and I need to be passionate, I need to be enthusiastic, and I write better when I'm enthusiastic. If I'm really into a project, I'm super productive. If I'm not, then I will find any reason in the world to procrastinate. So I don't know. This is why it's like annoying when I have these holidays, why I have these breaks, because I default to kind of self-reflection, I think. And so I don't know. I'm still committed to basically clearing the backlog of stuff that I've got in progress. You know, I was thinking the other day I'm basically sitting on 7 drafts in various states. So this is the 3 books in the Black Death trilogy. I've got Black Death London, I've got Cleric of the Wasteland, I've got Blind Reset, and I've got Justice, which is in my Ravenglass Chronicles, and that's not counting the non-fiction books, of which I have 3 in draft form. I've got plans for another one. So I'm just seeing this as a blip. I'll write stuff down. I'll keep a note of it. My priority's got to be the Ravenglass Chronicles. I think with my new schedule of getting up at 4:45, then it'd be great if I could get out a first draft of an episode of the Ravenglass Chronicles each week. If I can do that, that means I will be able to have a first draft ready of the entire series by Christmas. Now, this might be difficult to actually do just because I know that I've got things like the Black Death trilogy to launch and things like that. So I don't know. You know, I am really excited about the Ravenglass Chronicles and where they're headed. At the end of Justice, which is the episode that I am working on at the moment, there's a massive game changer and the story takes another unexpected turn. And so it almost feels like I'm going to be going into a fresh project. It's the same character, but there's a big change with the character. There's a big change with the world and the expectations. The stakes are different, the motivation's different. And so this is going to be a 5-episode arc, which will then lead nicely into the last 6 books, which will be where the story climaxes. Now, there's a possibility that because of the way the cards are, the tarot cards, you know, this is a thing based on the tarot. If you remember way back, I wrote The Fool, which was the original story. The Fool is card 0. It's also card 22, so I had that originally as the first story, and then I stuck it together with The Magician. So I have got room. If I need an extra episode to wrap things up, I can do The Fool again. I can have episode 22 as The Fool. So it might be that I'll do that. It might not. I'd like to just get it wrapped up by book 21. So I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get writing this next episode, but I know that I'm not going to be able to start it until September. So what I'm going to try and do, if I can, I've got The Hangman outlined, which is book 12. So I think I might try and outline the next 4 books after that as well, and aim to get all those drafted by October half term, and then after October half term just get down with finishing the series. So that's basically a long way of saying that I just need to get on with what I'm doing and ignore my brain when it tries to send me in different directions. Please do check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/John Cronshaw author. Hopefully next week my mind will be a little bit more focused, but we'll see where we're at. So until next time, cheerio.